Hello, friends. Once again, I'm Sid Collier. And let me state at the very outset that I do not take any personal satisfaction in posting on Facebook and YouTube one negative status update after another. I find no great comfort in the disapproval of others. However, I firmly believe my friends possess the strength and the courage to know and to deal with the truth concerning the very real dangers that are now confronting our country. I believe that we need more honesty and openness from those we have elected to public office. We should not have to make critical decisions about leadership on either the federal, state, or local level based on false promises and delusions. Too many of those who now hold positions of public trust have won their offices by hiding their true agendas from the voters, you and me. I'm convinced we need to look realistically at what the future holds and at what some in our governments are trying to accomplish. I also feel we should examine what America means to its citizens and the citizens of the world at large, because it is that meaning which is now in jeopardy. We need to understand where we went wrong and to determine if there are ways to correct our course. I want each one of us, young and old, more affluent or less well off, black, white, red, or yellow, to have an equal chance to build a better life and a better country. But that will not be achieved unless we work to change our nation's direction. What is at stake is nothing less than our country's soul. We have become discouraged by the inability of our leaders to pass any meaningful legislation which would advance the cause of all our people. We have become paralyzed in both our will and our actions, drained of our desires to do better and to achieve greater. Recent polls have showed that not only have we lost our trust in our government, but also in each other. We are allowing a tiny minority in Washington to divide us in the hope of conquering us. That same small minority recently succeeded in shutting down our national government for a period of 2 weeks in a fruitless effort to illegally overturn an existing law which will provide affordable health care to millions of Americans. It has also sought legislation would make devastating reductions in the SNAP program and eliminate unemployment benefits for workers who simply cannot find jobs, to implement cuts in Social Security benefits, to reduce aid to public education, to make it harder for minorities, the sick, and the elderly to vote, and to make it more difficult for women to have access to health care for issues related to their gender. That is why I have chosen to call attention to not only issues of poverty, but also to questions concerning the government's response to conflicts in which our nation is now embroiled and to potential conflicts which it could become involved in the future. I am deeply concerned about the re-emergence of conflicts here at home between those of different racial backgrounds. Those who are tempted to be filled with hate are finding more acceptance in the halls of governments, on the street, and on social media. More and more women and men are losing confidence in themselves, in each other. In the past, that confidence has been one of the greatest weapons in our fight against deprivation and despair. But today, federal, state, and local governments as well as far too many private citizens, are turning to tactics of division, tactics of not too subtle force, and to tactics of repression and nullification in order to achieve their goals. I do not believe we need to accept what is happening. I have personally seen that other America which far too many politicians have chosen to ignore. Robin, Sean, and I have witnessed the families, men, women, and children, who do not have enough to eat. Their lives are gradually being destroyed by lawmakers who are simply turning a blind eye to those needs. There are millions like the ones we know, whose lives are ignored by the government, while their bodies are being crippled and their children's minds are being destroyed by cruel and needless hunger. And the larger tragedy is that they have lost all hope for a better life. Too many young boys and girls feel their lives are now hopeless, and worse, that nobody really cares about their plight, that no one is going to do anything to help them. Every member of my family, including my oldest son, Sid Jr., have seen proud men and women here at home in Smith County who desperately need jobs and want jobs that provide a sense of self-worth. But those jobs are unavailable because factories have closed and their jobs are simply gone. The response by their government to their needs has been an effort to eliminate long-term unemployment and SNAP benefits, which would enable them to survive until they find other meaningful work. Each of us has witnessed the suffering of the elderly and the sick who live out their lives in substandard housing, often with little or no heat, as they try desperately to defend against the winter cold. Meanwhile, their governments tell them that their needs can best be met by their own localities. But churches, communities, and civic organizations and private individuals are overburdened and simply do not have the resources to cope with those ever-growing needs. And while we struggle to find solutions to material poverty, which blights too many lives, we need also to face another concern, the poverty of satisfaction, the poverty of self-dignity and purpose, which afflicts these people and their families as well. Those of us who feel a common bond with our fellow human beings need now to begin the difficult task of erasing this national and local disgrace. For far too long, others among us have sought lives of comfort and ease, purchased at the expense of our forgotten people. They seem to have ignored the very real needs of their communities in the pursuit of personal gain. Their own efforts to achieve power and profit have far outweighed their sense of duty to those who have not shared in the American dream. They have chosen to turn a blind eye to the fact that their personal wealth has come at the expense of moral judgments. They seem to have little concern for the health of all our children and for the quality of their education, or the simple joys of growing up in an America that is committed to the betterment of all lives. Most of us have by now forgotten the beauty that is to be found in poetry and literature, the strength of our relationships, the intelligence that once found spirited debates and found them to be satisfying. And we've forgotten the personal integrity that once resided in the hearts and minds of our public officials. We need now to seek to recapture the values of learning and wisdom, compassion, and commitment to the betterment of our localities, our state, and our federal governments. For those are the things that make our lives and the lives of those around us really worthwhile. Those are the things that once made us proud to be the citizens of the greatest nation on earth. We in the United States are still the last, best hope for all mankind. But unless we maintain a decent respect for others, unless we once again restore sympathy and support for our fellow human beings, we will forever forfeit not only our personal security, but ultimately the security of our country as well, in the blind pursuit of our own goals and objectives. I have deeply felt and abiding concerns about the course of actions being undertaken by our governments on all levels. I'm also concerned about the attitudes of animosity I see developing and re-emerging among our private citizens. Too many are seeking to divide us and to turn us against one another. I do not accept the notion that the current situation is the new normal. If the events of the last 200 years of history have shown us anything, it is that in periods of great moral crisis, our citizens have always been guided by their common sense and good judgment. Right has always prevailed in the battles against the forces of tyranny, and I sincerely believe that right will again prevail against those who are seeking for America a new dark age, where concern for our fellow men and women is a forgotten concept, where the arts and education are no longer valued, and the only thing that really matters is who can accomplish and achieve the most wealth. I continue to speak out against demoralizing and dehumanizing efforts wherever they are to be found, and I am convinced that most of my friends will support that effort. Thank you, and may our Lord bless you all.